Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Married Sistas Talk Show. I am your host, Becca Wilson. This show was created to deal with topics and issues that women are facing today. Whether you are married, single, widowed, or divorced, this show is for every sister. Please be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and every Tuesday on our Married Sistas YouTube channel at 12 noon. If you like our show, please subscribe, like, and share.
We are sisters, married sisters, living our best lives, being blessed wives with our misters. We are sisters, we are married sisters.
I think that's good, and I think it's very important because for children or teenagers who deal with the grief like that and they don't go to counseling, so I think they begin to try to cope with it, but when they're older, it still starts coming out in their marriages, relationships and stuff, not realizing that they're still dealing with that point of grief, that no one has ever helped them through that healing process. So I think that is, like I said, very important, especially for children and adults, to get that counseling. Do you have something you want to say?
Yeah, I would like to add, like for my daughter, Casey, hers, she didn't get through it as well as I was getting through it. She was holding in a lot of stuff, and she had begun to act out in different ways, and even try to commit suicide.
Wow.
Yeah. So, you know, it's very important. Very, very important, you know, to pay attention to your kids, you know, because she felt alone, even though she had cousins, sister cousins and stuff, you know, but she felt her best friend / mama was gone, you know, because they were 6 years apart. So, yeah.
I love that you say that. It makes me think about when I was 16, my auntie died. And so when you said your daughter has a sickle cell, my aunt died of sickle cell. And so it was an interesting time for me because we had just left Houston, and that's where I was raised, to move to Miami. And so my brother had moved back to Houston. That was my best friend. And so my aunt died. And so my aunt, that was my girl. And so, but I felt so alone. So in a new city, I was born in Miami, but I had never lived there for very long. So I was in school there, but my mom was grieving. And I just remember like seeing her grieve, but she was so like distant. And she was just such in a dark place. And so at that time, that was my first time grieving the loss of anybody. So having to be a teenager and have to just grieve the loss of your loved one on your own, it can be isolating and it can be confusing. And it just made me feel like, you know, like you lost somebody, but I lost somebody too. And, you know, who's going to be there for me and who's going to be there for us, you know. So for y'all, you know, kids who may be grieving and struggling, it can be isolating, and so I just encourage you to just try to connect with people who can understand, because for me, I didn't have anybody, and so I just listened to my music, and I went into like a deep depression. I didn't even know that was depression, and I started dressing different. I was like gothic and just wearing all black, and so expressing myself, and I wasn't saying anything, because it's like, who was there to teach me how to heal through that, you know? So as a parent myself, it's a must that we, you know, just are mindful of, you know, when we experience grief, that we do our best to just be very present, but not too strong, because our babies know when we're trying to wear it and we're not wearing it well. You know, I knew that there was something going on with my mom, but we never talked about it, you know, and so I just saw her be disconnected or be focused with work or try to be strong, and it was like, you're not, like, you're a human. And so though, you know, she was trying to wear it and trying to be strong, it's like I saw right through that. And it's like, if we talk about this together, we can grieve through this together, opposed to just feeling so disconnected when we both lost somebody. And for me, I can never unsee what I saw my aunt when she was rushed to the hospital. I still see the flashing lights, and we never talked about it. And when she died in the hospital bed with her mouth open, and I can still see it so vividly, but never having that conversation, never just talking about it, like not in my family, Not with my mom. We just dealt with it and we just let her die. And it's like we never talked about it, you know? And so just seeing her, you know, struggle with sickle cell and going to those doctor's appointments with her and pushing her on a wheelchair, driving because she was too tired to drive, or getting her snacks for her, and like just never having had the conversation. It's like, we got to talk about it. We can't just be so strong that we just let our babies just grieve alone. You know, and I'm not bad-mouthing my mom at all, but I'm just talking about as people, especially as Black people, we got to have a conversation. We can't just be so strong all the time, because that's not strength to just hold it all in and not say anything, because people are hurting. So it's a must we just talk about it. And so for the first time in my entire life, I'm finally able to just talk about it. Yes. And I'm just thankful for just this conversation, to just, you know, talk about the experiences I had with my auntie, and just how traumatized I was just by seeing her just dead in a hospital bed and just walking away from her, and just hoping that she would wake up, and knowing that she wasn't going to wake up, and never being able to talk about it. We got to talk about it. Yeah. So it's never too late to get it out. You can always just express yourself, especially amongst people that, you know, we lost people in different ways, but grief is still the same. It's 5 stages of it, you know, and so it's important to just talk about it with people who've been there. Don't feel like nobody can understand you, you know, even if the situation is different, because who would have ever guessed? She lost her daughter to sickle cell, and I lost my auntie to sickle cell, you know, who would have ever imagined just seeing them just stuck and not moving, and you don't know what to do, and you hope that they just wake up because you've seen them be strong, and then they're not strong anymore, you know? Yeah. And so it's a must that we just have these conversations. So I just thank y'all for sharing and giving me an opportunity to just heal through my aunt's, you know, grief. And love you, auntie. I know you're in a better place. So I needed to hear y'all and just have that conversation. So thank y'all.
You said something about the ambulance, the lights. Yeah. For a while, I cringed when I would see the ambulance or hear the ambulance. There was a part I couldn't deal with that. Yeah. Certain things I just could not do. And then one day, I said, okay, I'm gonna make myself go to the hospital. I'm gonna make myself go by the funeral home. I'm gonna make myself go to the graveyard. I'm gonna make myself go and sit in front of that church. Those was the worst parts for me. You know, so I did that one day, all in one day. And I did it. I sit there and I remember everything that happened. I said, God, I thank you. Yeah. I'm moving on to the next one. Reminisce everything. God, I thank you. Yeah. You know, the images. Whenever you see the image, ask God to remove the pain out of the image. Because you're always going to have the image. But he can take that pain out of the image. And that's what he did for me. Yeah. And I'll say this, the holidays. And during this time, actually, is the worst time for me. Because sickle cell, as you know it, when the weather changes, that's when they're in the hospital, you know, when the seasons change. You know, and then of course the holidays, when I know it's coming and I'm starting to feel it, I'm like, God, I need your strength. You know, and her birthday, the first year, everything was the worst. Oh God, it was horrible. It was horrible. I remember my first birthday, Mom, Casey gave me a card and I bust out crying. I said, but I'm missing one, you know. So it was the first of everything, you know, that's the worst. But God brings you through it. You can get through it.
He will. I would like to say there are a lot of people. We had over 20,000 people that have died with COVID, and it's very real. Death is real. But I hope today that we, you know, could encourage you to, like Sister here said, to talk about your experience so you can get through it, because it's a lot of death going on in our country. And you know that I'm praying for you, and I'm sure the rest of us here are praying for you. But God is able to bring you through your grief.
And I'm just going to say, I gasped when you were sharing your story about your daughter, and when you said your grandson's name. When you first said, this is just all God. I mean, like, every step of the way with this show has been all God, and I know that this is going to be a blessing to somebody. But my son has known your grandson, Bishop. My son goes to Brownsburg. And so when you said Bishop, I gasped because my son has talked to me about Bishop. And my son, when Bishop, I don't remember if it was this year or last year, because everything's in a daze in 2020. But I remember him talking to me about Bishop, and he's like, Mom, Bishop's not doing so well today because it's the time that his mom passed away. And he's 16 now. My son, go pray for Bishop. Now, Bishop's never been over. They played basketball together as little boys through the Y, but they've known each other for years. And we've never met. This is our first time meeting, but my son has prayed for Bishop and prayed for his heart, knowing that he hasn't had his mom with him. And I'm just like, this is just amazing just to hear, because when my son would tell me, I'm praying for Bishop. And so this is just, I'm in amazement just, at how divinely he's made this connection today. So
my husband has prayed for people like you, because when he said, Lord, now today I want you to put people in my children's lives, and Bishop, that will help them and not harm them. And he's had you in his life, and we didn't even know. I can't wait to tell him. I can't wait. And your son.
And my son they know him. He's just a typical typical teenage boy. But anytime Bishop's been hurting, anytime something's been going on with Bishop, he'll go into worship. He'll go into worship and have Bishop on his heart. And that'll inspire us in the house. So I am like literally like, that's when I gasped, because I said, oh my God, this is Bishop's grandmother, and all these years that they've known each other. I mean,
That's awesome, because
God is divine and he is good. And he takes care of his people, and he has people there that will watch out for your family and your loved ones that don't even know you. But God will have a plant there, that ram in the bush. So be encouraged. And he have for the children, have other children to pray for them. So thank you so much.
That's truly, that's just truly powerful. Because y'all was sitting here, I was trying to keep myself together. Like the reminiscing sound, because it took me a while to get over the siren sounds, and you're driving, and I would just freeze up because you remember that day, and me and my husband lost his mother at the age of 17, and we were just having that conversation yesterday, how the importance of having the wise people around you, because no one understood like his pain of what he was really going through, him and his brothers. Even though we were associated with a church, no one was able to help him. I don't even think they really cared, because some of the things that he was telling me about, beginning to open up and tell me about that he was suffering through. But they masked that pain for so long and then try to deal with it other ways. But just like knowing that it's okay now, to let go in a sense to where you can live, because I would have to wake him up out of his sleep sometimes and let him know, it's okay. Because he's still crying. He still cries out, and we're just able now begin that process of, hey, baby, let's talk about it. And it's just really something how, because we were talking about, just the little thing, because when he gets like a common cold, I was like, baby, why do you hum? When you have that common cold, it was annoying to me, but yet I had to be wise and to ask him. I said, wait a minute, you're associating that with when you were taking care of your mom, because hospice, he was the caregiver. Wow. Her boys were the caregiver. So they heard her moaning and groaning on her, sick bed like that. And that's how, but I think it's just, not to get into, his whole story, because it's his testimony. And, but to see that, he's a grown man, and how God still has to bring forth the healing, because like you said, there wasn't wise people around him and the boys at that time to say, hey, you guys need counseling. Because when I hear his story, I didn't know, and I was his girlfriend then, but yet I was telling him the other day, it's just amazing how, and he was a teenager, and I imagine this is how teenagers kind of deal with it if they don't have the help. I said, but he was dealing with this at night, bandaging her wounds, taking care of his mom, but then he'll come down those steps and be like a joyous person, a whole different person. And I told him, I say, he and his brothers, I'm like, y'all really like transitioned into different people. And he said that was kind of like my glimpse of hope, that I knew what my night was going to be like. So that was like my hope, to see you and to, to be away from that. And so I definitely encourage the counseling, get the help. You can't do it alone. And like I said, I want to thank you ladies. Such a powerful, powerful word. You've been a blessing to me, to the Married Sisters here. You've been a blessing to us, to realize there was some areas, my God, we got to talk about this. And not talking about it, I think a lot of people think that, oh, that's strength. It's not strength. I think you're on that spiral downward, and you don't want to do that. You want to, like she was saying, during this time, especially with the COVID, unprecedented amount of death that's going on, reach out, get the help that you need. And we just truly here at Married Sisters, our guests, we want to say thank you for tuning in today. We bless you with the love of the Lord and pray that this show has been a blessing to you. We pray that you will share it, because you never know who's on your feed that may need to hear something these ladies had to say today. So we bless you in Jesus' name, and I thank you until next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Hi again, this is Becca Wilson. I truly hope you have enjoyed our show today. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Until next time, you be blessed and have a great day.